Warning, due to adult language and humor, the following content may not be suitable for any viewers under the age of 18. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. The views and opinions expressed during the following live stream or video content are those of the individual and may not reflect those of others. Thank you.
The hell you say?
Good evening, one and all, and welcome to PACIFIC414 Pop Talk, along with Cash Money 007 and Baron Orman Tagge. I am your host, Mike, and tonight we will be talking about The Last of Us. Not just the game, but we'll also be talking about The Last of Us Season 1, Episode 1.
Yeah, it's really great to be here. Don't mind me. I just got up from my nap. So I'm
the hell
to
you
go.
say?
Hey, it's Baron money.
Oh man!
And what is it? Cash Orman Tagge?
Cashman Day.
Nope.
How about cash credit or credit money?
Oh, credit money.
Mm-hmm.
So, as I said, tonight we are going to be giving our thoughts and opinion on Season 1, Episode 1 of The Last of Us HBO Max television show, which is based on the PlayStation 3 game of the same name. And
Wow.
And I take it by that you would like to talk about it, don't you, Cash?
They all die.
Boy.
They all die over and over and over again. It's like a video game where the guy just can't get past the boss.
Well, you know what happens. It happens especially on this channel, where a certain guy that's flapping his gums right now will die over and over and over. Kind of like the Energizer Bunny. He keeps
I'll be showing you
the game.
Armada. I can't. I decided to try it on hard, and I'll show it to you later, Mike.
Oh, you went all easy mode, huh?
No easy mode, but there is no save point. So when you die, they make you actually go back to the beginning of the game. Oh, I forgot about that. So brutal.
Oh man. Oh man. I mean,
too much,
at that point, Cash, you might as well call 1-800-555.
No, I can't do it, man. I can't do it. None of that noob stuff for me. Can't do it.
That's what he says now.
No, can't do it.
I don't believe him.
But I'm still waiting until Paul plays an NES game. That's what Paul needs to do.
So, Cash, when it comes to The Last of Us for PS3, what do you remember about the game?
I remember some of the same scenes that were in the movie, in the show. Excuse me, the movie. There could be a movie sometime, I guess. But what I remember is that he picked up his child, Joel's, when the daughter was, you move around with the daughter and you see your dad, and then let me see if I remember all this. Then the planes start coming over, helicopters, the military's around, and Joel picks up the daughter, which I forgot her name now. It's terrible.
Sarah.
What is it?
Sarah.
Yeah, Sarah. Right. Thank you.
I thought it was Honey Boo Boo.
Picks up Sarah, and then they go and find out what's wrong. And you might have actually gone into the neighbor's house next door like they showed in the show. I can't remember, though. But then Joel starts beating on things that these humans turn crazy. They're turning into these like zombie creature things. And then what happens, just like in the show, is that Joel gets to the point where he stops and he's in front of a military soldier, and he says, you know, the military soldier's not sure that he's been infected, and then he stops, and then he starts shooting, and then Joel's daughter actually dies, just like she does in the show. So they got all that right.
Oh.
And yeah, it sucks, but it's then they go forward about, like, I think they did 20 years, and then he gets to know Tess, and then they learn about the Fireflies, which is the militia group to the military, but the military is not. They want full control over everything, and I think, if I remember, Joel was burning bodies just like the game, but it's been a long time, and so he gets to the point where, as they showed in the show, he gets to know Ellie. Ellie and Joel go on an adventure. Do you guys want me to spoil more of the game, because it'll be like just like the
We got the spoilers.
cash.
no
Did,
spoilers? I know.
did you just see the card that came up
Yeah.
not too long ago?
Yes, I know, but you know,
Huh?
you guys haven't.
Huh?
Yeah, I know, but you guys haven't gotten there because you haven't played the game yet. So it just I'm
So
sure you can
so is
stay-
that gonna spoil it for me? I'm gonna tell you this right now, and it's not me being smart.
Yeah.
You're telling me this stuff, but until I experience for the first time, it's not
Okay.
spoiling anything.
Okay, just want to make sure. I do care sometimes.
I'm spoiled.
Yes, Baron will spoil it. So you're going to move forward with Ellie, and in the game, especially if you play the DLC, you're going to find out that Ellie gets to know this little young black woman, this kid she plays with, and Ellie is. And it is very interesting how it goes about, because Ellie is going to turn into a lesbian, and that's going to play a part in the second game, as I know. But the first game, you're not going to learn about that and her relationship, however she feels about anybody else besides Joel and some of the other people. But she didn't just curse in the game, and her face actually looks different in the game. I think it looks better personally than it does in the show. I think the person they found does not look that much like Ellie. I think it looks weird. And people can take that however they want, but I would rather they keep the how the character looks in the game. And you continue on with Ellie, and you're going to find these things called clickers, and where you're going to be quiet. So you're going to do stealth. The game, you're probably
Wait a minute. Wait,
Stealth is important.
whoa.
Especially around the
Stealth?
clicker monsters.
Stealth?
Yes.
That's it. I'm out. I can't play a game that requires me to do stealth.
Yeah, you heard how he trudges around all the time.
Well, I've seen it in Tomb Raider, so I want.
Ooh. Oh my!
But that's all right. You can do it that way,
Oh.
but it's not the best idea. I can promise you that. I've tried it myself.
You don't know how tempting it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, Cash Money has experimented in the past, so just to let you know.
Continue, Cash. Continue.
Okay. So
yes,
what happens is you continue this adventure, and what you find out, and I'm sure Mike already figured it out, is basically that Ellie is the cure to everything. That's why when she got infected, nothing happened to her, because she is the cure. And so what you're going to end up saving her in the first game. And the reason, but before all that, you're going to fight a lot of they're going to give you moments where if you don't get out of them, you're dead, where Joel gets captured and those creatures are coming after him, or the infected is coming after him, and you have to get out. You're going to be betrayed by humans, of course, just like what happens in things like the original Walking Dead series, the episodic one from Telltales. It's very interesting. And so the first game I recommend highly, because I think it's really good. Now, a lot of people have some people have issues with it, because they're like, why would Joel risk all of humanity to save this girl? and that's what you're going to get into in the game, and that's what they're going to get into in the show. Tess also has black hair. These little details bother me because I want to see her with black hair instead of blonde hair. The woman who's playing Tess already doesn't seem to be bad. The production value on this, just like the game, I'm impressed by it. But I am not a fan of Ellie. I like Ellie a lot in the games. I don't like her already in the show. So those are a lot of the comparisons. But you're going to have stealth. You're going to go through traps where you're going to have to get out of them, and you're going to, their game will punish you, especially if you play on harder difficulties. The relationship between Ellie and Joel is very interesting. And since we're spoiling everything, the reality is, unfortunately, Tess is going to die. She's going to die in probably the next few episodes. So,
Why? Why are they killing her off?
Why did you spoil it, man? Why did you spoil it? Why did you spoil it?
Yeah.
I am going to be flashing this a lot tonight, even though it's scrolling at the bottom too.
Yeah. So, but as I said, the game is really good. One day we might, or sometime soon, do a whole stream about Naughty Dog and the rise of Naughty Dog and the fall of Naughty Dog to an extent.
Whoa! The Naughty Dog. Whoa!
Naughty Dog, yeah.
That's a strange area there.
But the games got popular enough, I would say, that they were like, you know what, let's do a TV show. And as you guys know, this stuff can take a while. It has to be planned out. It has to be this, but yes, the Ellie is a really interesting character, and her journey with Joel, especially in the first game, is really cool. You also get to be on a horse at some point because this is basically an apocalypse situation. So you're not gonna really worry about. You do some driving in the game, if I remember, though. So yes, that does happen as well. Those are the things I remember. It's been a while.
Now, Baron, as far as your experience with The Last of Us, do you have any, or are you like me and you're completely going into this with a clean slate, knowing nothing about the game and nothing about what the series is technically about, considering you're not familiar with the game? And
I didn't know anything until Cash spoiled it all. I don't know. It's kind of hard. No, I mean, I'm going into this with no knowledge whatsoever, to be honest with you. So this is a new experience for me, with the show. And, you said this was a PS3. Was this on any other platform?
No.
Okay. So
it's coming out soon for PC, though. So if you want to play it on there, you'll.
Okay, yeah. So right there is like I never had a PS3, so I never did. But yeah, it just seems like it's another one of these zombie things.
Yep.
And like I said, I'm going into this series with no real knowledge of the game. Yes, I've heard all the controversy when it came to The Last of Us 2, Naughty Dog, and everything that basically collapsed after the game was released because the game sold well at first and then sales just stopped because nobody was impressed with the game, especially with some story elements of the game that came out.
The second game didn't make as much money as the first game. I don't know if it's still considered a success or not. I'm not, definitely not as much as the first game.
All right. So, going into the series itself, and don't worry, I don't have any of the sound playing, so even if a scene does play, there shouldn't be any sound. But as you can see there, Series starts off in 1968. Try to put it right. Trying to get it at a wide angle shot. Uh, right there, right there. So it's 1968. There's a television interview. There's these fungi experts and scientists talking about, you know, different things that you can create from fungi and mushrooms, and all that. And there's this particular gentleman right here who's talking about how certain fungi can create hallucinogens and take over your mind. And it happens to ants, and it gets to a point where this fungi starts taking over the body and creating its own skin. And the big question asked by the interviewer is, could this ever happen to humans? Where this gentleman right here says, no, it cannot happen to humans unless the temperatures of the earth change. So they pretty much go through that interview, and it does set up what's going to happen in the year 2003. Everybody remember 2003?
No, don't remember it at all.
And so this is where we meet Joel and Sarah for the first time. And it's Joel's birthday. Sarah's preparing Joel some breakfast. And they live with Joel's brother, Tommy, in this house. And Joel's getting ready to go to work. He's got a job. He's
This
going to
is
be
the way.
laying. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's actually got two jobs, but for this job, he's laying down some foundation, some concrete, helping to build houses. And Sarah's reminding him, make sure you do this, make sure you do that before you come home. Pick yourself up a cake on the way home.
Here's the lazy
And
race swapping.
and there's Sarah. And as they're having their conversation at the breakfast table, that's when Joel looks at his phone and says, okay, you got 7 minutes and it's time to leave because he has to be on the job site very soon. Of course, what Sarah ends up doing is she ends up going into Joel's room. She borrows some money. And this is where we meet the next door neighbors.
Hi, neighbors.
And this neighbor right here says to Sarah, why don't you come over? You haven't been over in a while. So you can come over and you can bake cookies. And so we have that going on. And then we go to Sarah's school, and she's in her English class, and she's learning how to construct a sentence correctly using the right verbs, right adjectives, nouns, descriptive nouns, and pronouns, and all the form of sentence that you hear the teacher say, you will use this later in life.
Too
So,
bad Crit didn't listen.
yeah, too bad. So then Sarah gets out of school. She's on the bus, and she's going to a jewelry store. Why? To fix Joel's watch that hasn't been working for quite some time. And as she's there, you see a SWAT team go by, you see fire trucks go by, paramedics, police squad cars go by, and then the shop owner's wife says, you've got to go, we're closing. And the husband says, it's only 3 o'clock. And she says, we're closing. So Sarah ends up leaving. She ends up going over to the next door neighbors where they're making cookies. And Sarah says, chocolate chip. And the one woman there says, raisin.
Boo!
Yay! Raisin. Yay!
Yay!
So Sarah goes into the living room. She sees a DVD and she asks if she could borrow the DVD. And the neighbor says yes. This is her going into the kitchen asking if she can borrow it. And the neighbor says, yeah, it's her husband's, but that's okay. You can borrow it. So after that, Sarah ends up putting the DVD into her backpack and heading home, where at one point she's looking at the dog just before she leaves her next door neighbor's house because the dog is staring at the old woman. The dog is sensing that something isn't right. So Sarah ends up going home. And of course, on her way home, 3 jets fly over. So, something's going on. Joel gets home late after telling Sarah earlier in the day that he would be home by 9 after completing the job. And Sarah says, "You're late." And Joel says, "Well, they ordered the wrong siding. So it took a little longer than we thought." So Sarah surprises Joel with his watch, and it's now ticking again. It's been repaired. They go to watch the movie, and then Joel gets a phone call from his brother Tommy, and Tommy's saying, "I'm in jail." "What, Tommy? What do you mean you're in jail?" "I'm in jail. Come bail me out. It's getting crazy down here." So Joel leaves. Go bail out his brother Tommy, and Sarah ends up being carried to her bed because she's asleep before Joel leaves. Because one of the things that Joel said to Sarah when they were getting ready to watch the movie is don't fall asleep. And that's exactly what she does. So then what ends up happening is while Sarah's at home alone, she starts hearing all sorts of noise. Helicopters flying over, transformers blowing. Turns on the TV. And of course, there's the national broadcast signal saying stay in, do not go outside. What does Sarah end up doing? Well, she doesn't listen to the instructions. And this is her going down the stairs. And this is her looking at the TV screen. And she ends up going outside. And of course, while she's outside, you see a helicopter fly over, and there's all sorts of chaos going on. She looks over at the next door neighbors because at this point, before she even stepped outside, the neighbor's dog came over and banged on the glass. And she goes over to the next door neighbors and she discovers that the old lady, well, she's having human tonight. Yes, she's having human tonight. She's a cannibal all of a sudden. And the old woman looks up and starts running after Sarah. Joel gets back in the truck with Tommy, and Joel says, "Get in the truck! Get in the truck now! Get in the truck!" So they all get in the truck. And of course, as you see there, Joel's relieved to see Sarah. And what ends up happening is both neighbors in the Atwell's house, well, they're funky. They're funky like you've never seen it before. Okay, I was trying to make a joke and I screwed that up.
Fun guys are never fun.
Yeah. But anyways, they come out, they start running toward the truck, and Tommy ends up running over them. And as they're driving along, they see one of their friends' houses completely engulfed in flames. And they're going to take the freeway to try to get out of town. And they're also giving us little bits of information here and there as far as where this virus is most susceptible. and it's in cities. And that's when Sarah says they used to take Nana, the next door neighbors used to take Nana to the hospital. And then she starts thinking, well, if they took Nana to the hospital and that's how she got infected, what if we're infected? And Joel says, no, honey, we're not infected. We're not infected. Don't worry about it. So, long story short, they end up going into town where they see just absolute chaos, complete and total chaos. People running around screaming, and zombie like humans going after humans who aren't zombies. And like I said, it's just chaos. And then as they're in this little town, planes are flying over, and one of them actually ends up crashing, flipping over their truck. So when they come to, Sarah has a twisted ankle, and Joel and Tommy are able to get out. Joel has Sarah, starts running. Of course, he's being chased by one of the fungi zombies out of this restaurant.
Fungi
And
zombies. I like that.
yeah, fungi zombies. That's my word for it. Fungi zombies. And we get to a scene where, oops, skip too far ahead, where there's this National Guardsman. He tells Joel to stop, and Joel says, "We're not infected. We're not infected." And this National Guardsman reports back to his superiors, and his superiors give him the order to shoot. And the National Guardsman's like, "What? Shoot!" And the National Guardsman opens fire. Sarah and Joel start rolling down the hill. Unfortunately, the bullet only grazed Joel and it got Sarah.
No,
So
no.
so Sarah is she's dying. Sarah's dying. She's going into shock. She's losing a lot of blood. And Joel's trying to tell her to stay with him. He says, I know it hurts. I know it hurts. Because one of the things that you see on the truck in this episode is a bumper sticker that says Desert Storm Veteran. So that's giving you another clue as to the character's background. And unfortunately, Sarah dies. And there's Tommy. He's devastated. And then we flash forward 20 years later.
To
Try to
today.
try to get it right there if I can. If I can, I'll just go ahead and move on. I'm just gonna go ahead and move on. But anyways,
Just move on.
like Baron said, it's today. It's present day.
Uh-huh.
20 years later, and we see this little boy walking through the crumbled ruins of what used to be Boston, and he's walking toward a quarantine zone. And of course, these soldiers are on the outside. They've got spotlights. They're well armed, and they notice the boy collapse. They bring the boy in, and one of the officers comforts him, says, don't worry, we'll get you one of your favorite things to eat. We'll get you all the toys you could ask for. In the meantime, they're scanning him to see if he's infected. Unfortunately, the scanning device does detect that he's infected, and, well, they unfortunately have
Put him.
to put him down.
Uh-huh.
And then we see where Joel is at here in 2023, and he's basically helping to cremate the bodies of the infected. And of course, this woman right here, they open up the back of the truck and she sees the body of that little boy, and she says, Joel, I can't do this. So Joel takes the body and throws him into the fire. So then we see Joel waiting in line later on. He's waiting for work. He finds some work. One of the options he had was working in the sewers, and then he had another option, and he said, "Which one pays more?" And this guy, the federal officer, says, "Clean up the crap, the feces."
The
So Joel takes a
he.
yep. Joel takes the job. It's for 4 o'clock the next day, and then we get a glimpse of what future Boston looks like, at least as far as this series is concerned. There's federal guards everywhere, and it's not looking it's not looking good.
No.
Everything's run down, but of course, the reason why everything's run down is resources are scarce. So we see Joel going through town. He meets up with this federal guard, and he actually has some sleeping pills for this federal guard that come out of Atlanta. And the guard says, "You sure they're out of Atlanta?" And Joel says, "Yes." So the guard takes a sample, and he goes, "Okay, they're authentic." He says, "It's a good thing too, because out of Atlanta, they make these and they make bullets. They make bullets and they make these."
Pills and
So,
bullets.
mm-hmm. So, is there anything you guys would like to add?
Ooh, not at this point, no.
Okay.
But it does look like modern day Boston. So modern day. So the Boston in this looks just like the Boston of now. I get it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Where's Cheers?
It's probably
Uh-huh.
non-existent now.
Mhm.
But
Can you
but
imagine Norm walking around? Oh, I'm a fungus guy.
but a deal is made so that Joel can find out where Tommy is, because at this time Tommy is no longer with Joel. He's gone completely elsewhere. So this guard right here hands Joel some cigarettes. Joel starts walking away, and then we meet Tessa for the first time. She is being questioned, and she says, "Listen, it's your guys who effed up and didn't deliver the battery that they said that they had." And of course, they beaten her up. And as this conversation is going, the guy is telling her, "Well, I'll get you your battery, but I'm sorry that my guys effed you up." And Tesla's all, "Well, what are you going to do to them? What are you going to do to punish them for screwing up?" He says, "I'll think of something." And as they're
So,
talking,
so what you're saying is,
Happens when you fuck a stranger in the ass. This is what happens when you fuck a stranger in the
yes,
ass.
Baird, yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yes, Baird, yes, yes. So there's an explosion. Tessa is knocked to the ground. She gets up. There's a dead body right next to her of one of the guy's goons. And she gets out. She sees the wreck of a Humvee. She sees one of the freedom fighters up here with their sniper rifle. And as she's trying to get away, she is knocked down by these two guards right here who really don't care if you're with the terrorists or not. You're not where you're supposed to be, especially with all the warnings, and the warnings saying, "Please clear the area. If you have no business being here, you shouldn't be here." Well, they knock her down, and she's taken to a federal facility. And then we meet the girl who is the key to everything.
the key. Are you the gatekeeper? Are you the key master?
We we meet Ellie for the first time. Of course, she's going by the name Victoria, and they're asking her to count slowly from 1 to 10. And she starts counting, and then she says "F you," and she
Mhm.
holds out her hand, and she asks, "What am I doing here? What am I doing here?" So we get a little backstory, not too much, but a little bit, as to why she's being held there. Then we catch up with Joel again. He goes into this one apartment building, and he goes to talk to a guy who has a short range radio, and he says, "Have you heard anything from Tommy?" And he says, "No." And Joel says, "What? Have you fallen asleep?" And he says, "No." Gabriella takes over the night shift when I'm sleeping, and if she's not doing it, my son is. Not the idiot son, the smart one. So Joel finds out that he hasn't heard anything from Tommy, but he is somewhat aware of Tommy's whereabouts somewhere in Wyoming. So he circles a map to the location, and Joel ends up leaving. So then we get to Joel's apartment building, and we see a few things that he has laid around the apartment building. And he moves a bookshelf, and he gets his booze, and he has some pills, and he's trying to comfort himself because of the last 20 years. It's been hard on him. It's been hard on a lot of people. There you see where his watch was broken back in 2003, and then Tessa comes home and she says, "I've got a battery. I've got a guy who can get us a battery." And real quick, I do want to say hello to Kelly Chow, who says, "What's going on?" We are
Roll Tide.
discussing the Last of Us HBO show tonight
Mm-hmm.
here on Pacific414 Pop Talk. So, long story short, Tessa says, "I've got a battery for us. We can meet up with Joel. Have you found out where he is?" And I said, "Joel, but Tommy." And Joel says, "I have a roundabout area where he's actually located." So Joel and Tessa are discussing what they're going to do, how they're going to do it. And she tells Joel to just relax. It's okay. They'll get through this. And then we meet the Fireflies in their secret hideout. That's right, I'm calling it a secret hideout.
Oh, oh no, no,
Yes.
not secret hideout.
Somewhere in their secret hideout.
The
So
fungi Kurtzman.
mhm, we meet Meryl, and we meet some of her crew, and she's saying, "When you're told to follow orders, follow orders." So she's not too happy because Fedra has most of the control of the quarantine area, and they haven't gained a foothold as far as the Fireflies are concerned. They need to advance. They need to bring back freedom. That's what they're fighting for. So she sends out two of the Fireflies, and that's the last we see of them. Next, we have a scene where Tessa is finding out from a guy, you know, where can she get a battery? And this guy comes up and starts talking to Joel. Joel pretty much says, "F off." And
Mm-hmm.
in case anyone is just joining us, I've already shown it large on screen, and it is scrolling down at the bottom. Spoilers. Heavy spoilers.
Spoilers, spoilers.
And speaking of which, hello to Lord Crit. How you doing? How you doing, Crit?
The
All
Orca
right.
boy has arrived.
Yes. So Tessa negotiates a deal to get a battery, and they start talking about how they're going to acquire this battery, how they're going to get to this building, especially with the Fedra agents all over the what's left of Boston. And after that, we see more of Ellie, and Ellie is being talked to by Meryl, and that's where we find out a little bit more information about Ellie and why she was sent into the Fedra, basically into the Fedra's hands. It's because she's special. And one of the things that she ends up giving Ellie is a backpack with a knife in it. And then we get back to Joel and Tessa. They're making their way to the building. And when they climb up a ladder and get to this door on the floor that they need to be at, they notice that there's blood coming out from underneath the door. So they open it and they see that it was a deal gone bad. That the same guy who was interrogating Tessa earlier in the episode was trying to double cross Meryl. So there's some dead bodies lying around. And of course, Ellie tries to use her pocket knife on Joel, and Joel prevents her from doing so. And a deal's cut. A deal saying, okay, you get Ellie out, we have a deal. We'll let you go to the outside world, but you have to get her out. And Tessa and Joel agree to it. They also say that if they have to, they'll kill Ellie if she gets out of line. So once the deal is made, they end up going back to their apartment building with Ellie, and they wait. Joel falls asleep at one point, and let me try to get back to the apartment building. But Joel falls asleep at one point, and he starts hearing different voices from 20 years ago. Meanwhile, before that even happens, Ellie finds a Billboard Top 100 book with all the different top 100 hits from the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s. And she finds this piece of paper with different codes. And that's important because there are certain radio calls, and depending on what songs being played, they're either songs that are related to information or songs that say, we're in trouble, get out. So Joel falls asleep and he starts hearing the events from 20 years ago. And then he wakes up and Ellie says, you talking in your sleep? And Joel says, whatever, and tells her to get ready because they're about to leave. And then Tessa comes back and says, okay, it's time to move out. They move out. And as they're moving out, we see that there are patrols going up and down the city of Boston saying to everybody, stay in the quarantine zone, stay where you're supposed to be, do not move beyond those points. Plus, they're
Because
also
Crit's
doing
on the loose.
they're also doing it because, of infections. They're trying to keep the infection count low, especially within the quarantine area. So they go through different areas. They go through a sewer system. They eventually do get out, and Ellie goes, oh, "Cool, I'm out." And Tessa has to grab her and keep her from being spotted by the spotlight. And
Something she cursed actually, but
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm trying to give some information, and I'm trying to keep other information, not top secret, but spoiler free. Even though I have spoiler warning, I don't want to spoil the whole thing. And anyways, they go through this sewer drain, and they're talking. a lot of different stuff. They get out, and of course, they are spotted. They're spotted by that same federal guard who Joel was talking to earlier. And Joel's trying to reason with him, negotiate with him, saying, "Let us go, let us go. I'll cut you a deal. You can have 10% of what we're bringing back, 20%. Oh, all right, 30%. No, I want it all. It's that kind of thing." And then he tells Joel and Ellie and Tessa to get on their knees, and he starts testing them. Tessa goes, "Really, man?" Tessa comes back negative, and Joel comes back negative, but Ellie comes back positive after he tests her, and he's getting ready to shoot her. And that's when Joel starts having another flashback to 20 years ago, and, well, beats the snot out of the guy. So that's pretty much the end of the episode. And I got to be honest, there were parts of this episode that I really enjoyed. And then other parts I'm thinking they could have saved for later episodes, or they could have saved for when Joel was sleeping. And not having played the game, I'm getting an idea of what's going on. And again, we do see, especially when Ellie shows her arm, and it is infected, but she's the key to everything. What about you, Baron?
Oh, me?
It stinks.
No, no, no. I mean,
Oh my!
uh, you know, yeah, I agree with you on that one. There should have been a little bit better build up on that to because it's not the game. You don't need to follow the full format of the game because you have the two different mediums. But maybe the flashbacks would have worked a little bit better as he's going along, which would also show a little bit more of the trauma that he's suffering from.
Mm-hmm.
Suffering from the with those what would you say the well, a form of post traumatic stress. I mean, here he is, a guy who fought in a war, and now he has his daughter die, literally almost in his arms, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and then everything goes to crud, and he's throwing right down the kids' bodies in the fires, um, basically being almost desensitized to being a human being. But having the flashbacks, I think, would have had a little bit more of an impact than just having that full story in the beginning. So that's the way I look. But other than that, I mean, that's well done. I mean, very well done, production wise, uh, and even directing. I even say even writing with that. Um, if there's the niggling part is exactly that. It's like we didn't need to have this almost 20 minutes in the beginning of the daughter, basically the life of the daughter. That could have been spread out through flashbacks to get to kind of drive that point home,
Mm-hmm.
especially for those who never played the game, like Moi.
Yep. And Cash, what are your thoughts?
Didn't I just give him? I'm just kidding. The dogs are telling my thoughts. No.
They don't like you. We're not going to listen.
As I said, I don't. I find the Ellie kind of weird. I didn't personally. Well, I guess I didn't go into. I I don't personally care for the raise the. I don't personally care for the lazy race swapping of any character, but that's just my feeling. That people can do what they want on these shows, but I just find it lazy. But I thought the daughter scenes went on too long. I thought they dragged a bit. I didn't think they needed to show all that, but they wanted to show it, and I just thought it went on a little bit too long. I think that went on for about 20 minutes or something, 25 minutes.
20, 30 minutes.
Yeah. I thought it was just too long. I thought they could have cut some of that personally.
Again, when it comes to the daughter, I realize how important she is to Joel's life. I get
Right.
that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's best served as you're going along in the series where in Joel's dreams, he's being reminded of her. A situation occurs, like the situation with the Federal Guard. He's reminded of a situation with her.
Yeah.
As he's just walking along doing his everyday business, maybe something reminds him of her and we get even more information.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to Ellie, having not played the games, I'm sorry, I'm not impressed with this girl that's playing Ellie.
I don't know. Not that impressed either. The best thing for me right now is Joel.
Yeah,
And,
Pedro
Mhm.
Pascal is very good in this series,
Mm-hmm.
and I think he's gonna be even better as the series goes on
Yes.
because this is more based in actual reality, if you want to even say that.
Mm-hmm.
With the fact that it's not based in the Star Wars universe, he's not the Mandalorian saying this is the way. He's talking like everyone talks. Dealing with situations that, at least in this world, the world of The Last of Us, that everybody's had to deal with for the last 20 years.
Right.
But, I mean, besides spending 20, almost 30 minutes on the daughter, I felt that at certain times the pacing got a little slow.
Mm-hmm.
And, I would have loved, just like Leia Rose said in the chat, you know, I would have loved if they told us a little bit of information as far as what happened in that last 20 years.
Yeah,
You
they should have
Yes.
focused more on that. I mean, if you're going to have an hour and a half, I mean,
know?
the thing is being that you have yourself a show that's on cable, so you don't have to worry about the time constraints you'd normally have on regular TV. It doesn't mean that that it's a green light just to have it drawn out long. You really need to have it as. And yeah, what happened in those 20 years? They could have had that filler in there. Sure, it might not be in the game. I don't know. I haven't played the game, but again,
I'm trying to remember. I think that's how they continued the game. Is that you
mhm,
saw Joel and he was
right.
throwing the infected dead bodies into the
Hmm.
fire, and I think it might not be. They might have not flashed forward that far, but I thought they did.
Yeah, but
I
and the
have
thing is again, this is an adaptation, and
right,
probably for a lot of people who are not familiar with the game,
right.
it gives an excuse there to have a little bit of filler to explain a little bit more of everything that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mhm.
Opening up with the news talk, type thing that they had was absolutely perfect. I mean, and they really made it look like it was from 1968. People
Mhm.
sitting on there smoking, and it's like, yeah, that's exactly how talk shows were back in the day.
Yes,
And
they were.
so that was a nice intro in
Yes.
foreshadowing of the foreboding that was happening.
Mhm.
And you know, maybe right after that is when they should have thrown right into where Pedro's throwing the bodies in, and then as you go along and get the flashbacks, they start throwing it off because it's a great way to jar you a little bit. It's like, whoa, what happened?
Mhm.
It gets your attention, and then have what happened there, and then have the have the other filler about things that happened between there, him, how he got to Boston. How do you get to Boston? He got from Texas to Boston. How do you get there?
I guess, but yeah, that would have. I mean, that wouldn't have been bad to see. I
Right.
agree. How did he
Eh,
get there? I'm
right.
guessing he grew he drove with Tommy.
Hmm.
That's what we can guess that he drove with Tommy. So.
Or did the government gather up people and send them there that weren't infected? I mean,
Yes,
that would have been interesting to see is how did these
I
people
agree.
get together? And again, it could have been done with flashbacks. So you didn't need to have 20, 30 minutes of the the rambling adventures of the daughter who dies anyways.
Right.
Uh, it kind of rings a little empty.
Yeah.
I think it would have more of an impact with the flashbacks. It's like
Yeah.
now you can see why he's angst ridden.
Yeah. Leia, in the game, she dies, so she had to die in the show.
Yeah,
His daughter had to die.
right. It's an element of the show. It's the element of
Mhm.
character building for the main character.
Right.
Tragedy, and
Yes.
yeah, it's horrible
Mhm.
tragedy.
Right.
Yeah, and like I said, the pacing in certain parts it just seemed to drag on a little too long. I mean, whether it be with the
Yeah.
daughter or whether it be dealing with Ellie. I know they're trying to introduce you to Ellie and what she means to this particular series, what she meant to the game,
Hmm.
but certain
Hmm.
scenes I still felt should have been shortened.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Just because you can do something doesn't mean you have to do something. You
Right.
know,
Hmm.
and maybe it's just the fact that some of these people might have been a little bit afraid because of the backlash. People, well, it's not like the game,
Right.
and it's like, well, it's not the game. It has to be translated over for someone who's not playing the game to
Right.
understand what your universe is. Uh,
Mhm.
and it's not like you are ruining the. You're still putting the elements of the game, but you're putting it in a different order because that's sometimes how storytelling is compared to gameplay.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And this is one of my nitpicks. I already said it to both Cash and Baron. I know we use LED lighting now, but as far as 2003 or the world that this show takes place in, LED lighting shouldn't exist in numbers like it does.
Hmm.
Well, and it's amazing that in this post-apocalyptic, there's so many name brand booze still around,
Hmm.
and it's like, wouldn't this be basically people making their hooch? I mean, who in this entire situation is going out there and having running distilleries now? Just like they said, Atlanta only does two things: make pills and bullets.
Hmm.
So, I mean, obviously they're not producing Coca-Cola.
No,
Uh, so there should have been the fact that yeah, exactly like Rose says here, moonshine, hooch,
exactly.
right? And so that was another thing that was kind of going on, and it looks like even cigarettes are a hard item to get by.
Yes.
So I mean, if cigarettes are hard to get by, alcohol definitely would. Because can you imagine how many people were drinking heavily in the first few days of this?
Oh yeah.
Well, you're trading also stuff like drugs,
Hmm.
obviously, for
Right.
because they don't they have paper, but it's not like paper. It's a different kind of paper, but
Hmm.
it's still considered the currency at that time.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, you got the scripts instead of money, and
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, this is a dystopian, definitely world that they're all living in, and they've been doing it for 20 years.
hmm
And
And
I know this is another nitpick, but the clothes.
mhm,
I know there are ways to make clothes. I'm
mhm.
not an idiot. I'm not oblivious to that fact.
Hmm.
But the clothes that everybody's wearing, it's like these got to all be hand me downs.
Mhm.
hmm Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit more wear and tear in some of this stuff.
Yeah. That's exactly what my nitpick is. It should look worn.
Hmm. I mean, I can understand the military people having better looking stuff because, again, that's what they'd be producing. They want,
Right.
make sure they have the armor, the ammo, all that stuff. So obviously, they're the haves, and everybody else is fu. you know.
Hmm. And is there anything else that you didn't like about the series?
No, I mean that and it's again nitpicks, and yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I suppose I didn't like the structure in the beginning, but
Mm-hmm.
other than that, it was not bad really.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not a bad series. I mean, I wasn't looking at my watch at any time. I wasn't looking at anything else around me at the time, going, okay, we are about 20 minutes in and I'm bored out of my mind. No.
Yeah, no, I don't. I think it's silly if people think this show is already boring.
Hmm.
I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion.
Yes.
But for me, again, having not played the games, having no real knowledge of the games, I was entertained for a good portion of the show.
Hmm.
But again, they didn't need to focus on the daughter as much as they did, and certain scenes
No.
should have been either cut down or cut completely.
Hmm. Right.
I mean, as far as introducing us to Tessa, I realize why, they introduced us the way they did. But as far as the guys, you know, they didn't need to really have them in for that scene for as long as they were, even
Hmm.
though that scene was short. They
Hmm.
could have just made that scene real quick because honestly, those guys are inconsequential to the rest of the episode. Because the next time we see them, they're dead.
Hmm.
All of them.
Mm-hmm.
Not just the one guy that falls onto Tessa after the Humvee explodes.
Yep, it's true.
They're all dead.
And, you know, maybe it would help if I played the game to know a little bit more of the
Mm-hmm.
backstory of some of the characters, but I'd rather just keep watching the series
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
and see if they can bring up any surprises, anything
Hmm.
that makes me go, hmm, that's interesting, or whoa, I didn't see that coming.
Hmm.
What about you guys?
Well, yeah, I mean, as it goes, obviously, like I said, I never played the game. I have to wait until it comes out on PC, and how much will it cost when it comes out on PC. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see if they're actually going to be doing copy paste with this, basically your cutscenes into this TV show, or if they mix it up a little bit and still be respectful to the original source, not just go out there and start throwing a bunch of BS in there.
Mm-hmm. Cash, how about you?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to see where this goes, but unfortunately, I know where this is going to go. But for now, it could be good. I'm still worried about Ellie. And the one other thing that I have to nitpick these shows. I just have to, and I'm sure
Well,
some people do. Like, why are you doing this? Why are you so you just or one of my friends would say I'm allergic to joy, but which always makes me laugh.
well,
But
we
I
know
can't.
that. We know that.
um, I I just sometimes I feel because I've noticed now there's a pattern with TVMA shows that the character needs to curse just to curse or
Hmm.
says like, oh, I curse. It's like, oh, is that supposed to be edgy? It starts reminding me of this anime I used to watch. I don't usually care for edgy kind of storytelling. It's like, oh, we're gonna kill off pretty much all the characters in the dumbest way possible. Like that's just an example. And so now I've noticed with unfortunately stuff like Cowboy Bebop and Lop and Netflix and now The Last of Us that these characters are just cursing. Like Ellie curses in the game, but the way she curses, or even when she came out of the sewer or whatever, like, oh shit, this is like what the surface is like it just the line just doesn't flow well. It's just kind of
Hmm.
like uh Pacific had a better example of how what she should say. And that's the way I think. It's like, oh, just to say, oh shit. Like, does she really need to say, oh shit? This is what the surface like. I
Hmm.
don't think so. But that's just That's
Well,
nitpicking. Yeah.
Mike and I were talking before also about that, and it's like, yeah, to have the cussing just to have the cussing is ridiculous. And I've made criticism about the space
Mm-hmm.
travels done by Kurtzman and gang, and it's like they're all excited because they put the F bomb, and we're the
Mm-hmm.
first time we used the F bomb.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
but the
Right.
thing is the times that they did use some mild profanity, you might say, in Star
Yeah.
Trek, it did fit. And one of
Right.
the things I sat back and said was,
Yes.
in Star Trek Generations, when the saucer section is going into the atmosphere, and Data goes, "Oh shit!" I mean,
Yes.
for what
Right.
with his chip, he's experiencing emotions and everything. It
Mm-hmm.
fit. It was natural. It's like you could kind of laugh at that and say, "Yeah, I can understand that." The other would be like Dr. McCoy when he in Star Trek 3 he goes,
Yes.
"Why
Yes.
that green-blooded son of a bitch? It's a
Right.
revenge for all the
Right.
argument." And you could see the thing
Yeah.
is you could see him saying it, especially in that situation. But just to
Mhm.
go out there and just say Spocky, son of a bitch, that would not have been. It's like, really, honestly, McCoy would never do that.
It just feels out of place.
Right, exactly. And it's kind of going back to the phase. It's like, oh, we have to start throwing all these cuss words now in. Just like a lot of comedians, that's what they use. Oh, let's be funny and just be out there and cussing and swearing and ha ha ha, that's funny.
Right.
And
Right.
it's like,
Yeah.
no,
No.
no.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, the perfect example is
hilarious.
George Carlin because
Yes.
he'd take bits and he'd have to
Mm-hmm.
clean it up to go on TV. But the
Right.
thing is they were just as funny
Yes.
as when he was using the cuss words, which means there was talent behind it.
Yep. Yeah, I
And
do.
something I said to you after we watched it, Cash, was after Joel and Tessa and Ellie got on the outside when they were going through that sewer pipe. That would have
Mhm.
been the perfect opportunity for Ellie to ask Joel and
Mhm.
Tess.
What was
So,
the? So this is
what
what
was
the
the?
outside is like. So this
Mhm.
is yeah. Mhm.
This is what the outside is like, and what was it like 20 years ago
Yes,
before all this happened?
but maybe
Yeah.
she didn't know about maybe that would have been too weird for her to ask that question. But the question
Yeah.
about what is like, I don't know if she would understand or even because how young she is. Still.
Well, she knew enough, and she'd be curious.
Hmm.
It's like,
Yeah,
yeah,
she is smart. Ellie is smart.
hmm
Ellie is smart in the game. Ellie has to be smart in the show.
right.
But she also is. I don't know if this young actress is going to. I'm worried, like about
Uh,
the cursing and the.
Yeah.
I agree there could be some different dialogue. It's nitpicking. That's what it is. It's nitpicking. I could
hmm
see some of my friends getting upset with me that I'm saying, "Oh, well, dude, why are you being so hard?" I was like, I can't help it. I just
hmm
can't. It's the way my brain works. I
Well,
can't help it.
to be honest with you, I'm rather unimpressed with her performance, and I'm not being
Mm-hmm.
mean.
Mm-hmm.
And I know,
Sure.
while we
Yeah.
were talking, I kind of looked up a little bit of the game there, and it's like, yeah, I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
love the
Good.
artwork they had
Yes.
for her in the
Mm-hmm.
game,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, it's like,
So you looked up some of the dialogue that Ellie says in the game too?
no, I didn't look at any dialogue.
Oh, you didn't.
I'm just
Okay.
doing a cursory scan. It
We'll
doesn't
do
put
that
cursory
later,
scan.
Baron.
I'm sure we will. I guess I'm gonna. What I'll be doing for the next 9 hours after this show.
Do
but
your research, Baron.
Yeah.
getting back to this actress who's playing the role of Ellie, I don't know that she has the range from what I've seen.
No.
Yeah.
No. I
I
mean.
I just I we know there's just shows. Look, that's why I think it's also we're just jaded. Like and we're also jaded because there's just shows that were on that shouldn't have been canceled.
mhm,
The Agent Carter was a really good show. It had snappy dialogue. It was well written. And anybody I always go back to this because people want to talk about strong female characters. That Agent Carter, of course, now she's Captain Carter, but we're not. I
mhm,
don't want to get too off track. I'm just saying. I think the reason that I'm so harsh on this show is one, I love the first game, love it. It's a
mhm,
really good game. And so I'm expecting a lot from this show. but I will say this: they definitely have a good budget, which is great.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Much better budget than I've seen in Kenobi and some of these other shows recently.
Yeah,
That they've actually put money into the budget. Is like, thank you. Yeah.
the
Oh,
way
I
they're
see.
filming it is done very well.
Oh,
Yep.
by the way, I see Phil McCracken's in the chat.
No
He
coupons
is.
for you, Phil. No coupons for you, Phil. No.
Yep. And Crit is right what he said, by the way. Did we also say hi to Keely Chow? We did,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Mhm.
Cool. Just want to check.
I try not to miss folks.
Okay. If not, we're here to help Mike any way we can, I guess. Yeah.
And that's tall order.
The hell
know,
you
I know.
Oh.
But I think it's just I nitpick shows, and it's funny when you go back and watch old shows, even stuff like Knight Rider, like
Mhm,
here's the dialogue like this.
mhm.
Snapping. It's good. And even though that show gets cheesy sometimes, it still works. And you watch stuff like Quantum Leap and other shows like Agents of Shield. I think they did a really good job with Agents of Shield.
Yeah, they
And
did.
when I see characters like Agent Coulson, I want to see more characters like Agent Coulson. He's just such a leader, and he's just a badass. I just love that. And so, Joel's a great character too. I would say he's an iconic character. So Pedro Pascal is playing him just fine. He's doing a very good job. But I am worried about Ellie, and I'm worried because this TVMA show is, we're going to curse just to curse. That's silly.
Mhm.
That's just silly to me.
Right. I mean, you can get MA in other areas, and the show has basically MA in that already without the cussing.
Yeah.
And granted, a little cussing is, especially in a show like
Yeah.
this,
Yes.
in the situation people are in, is understandable, but it's not does not have the gratuitous.
Right. And so I'm sure people would make a comparison. Well, what about stuff like Quentin Tarantino? They curse all the time. I said, yes, but it's intentional and it works well because of how the characters are. We're dealing with evil characters, like people who are actually evil. And so it just works, and you just expect it because Quentin has always done it.
Mm-hmm.
There is some cursing, obviously, in the Last of Us game. It's just, I'm just worried that they're going to curse just to curse. And I just think that's silly.
Yeah, what we're saying is we're not against the cursing; it just doesn't have a place, or it's just gratuitous.
Exactly.
And yeah, you're going to have like a movie like Quentin Tarantino, and the person's cussing all the time, and and there's a purpose behind it. That's what the character is.
Yep.
Or even Johnny Dangerously, where you have him going around saying the Farragut ice holes, you some of my beaches,
Yep.
And then supported the tweeting, even though he's not from there.
Yeah, I mean, there's an appropriate time and an appropriate place in a movie and TV show where you have the character curse.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I mean, have them walk into one of those apartment buildings and seeing the bodies that were on the floor after that shootout. That would be a moment for the characters to go, "Oh shit."
Yeah, and you notice, I'm wondering if this is Druckmann also, which we could go over a whole thing about that crazy man, but we didn't get to see. We got to see the aftermath of the violence, but we did not get to actually see the violence in the apartment. It'd be the apartment yet.
Mm-hmm.
They just showed the aftermath, which can be effective too.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it doesn't, but
even when you show, a character's reaction to something that they're seeing happen off screen, but you as the audience hear what's going on, and it's the character who's conveying what's going on and relaying to us, whether it's a good situation, bad situation.
Yep.
It's the character.
Yep, because in the game you're actually going through that, if I remember correctly. You're actually going through that fight.
Mm-hmm. See, I don't know.
Yep, and it'll be interesting to see, how much gun violence they want in this game, because in this show, just from the game because people are very about that and whatever, which just makes me
Hmm.
laugh because this is just a violent situation. So people are going to use guns, bats, whatever.
Well, if people like The Walking Dead, then shut up.
Hmm. Oh my gosh, right? lot of guns were used in that. Obviously, got to shoot those
and
zombies in the head.
and baseball bats with barbed
Yes.
wire wrapped around them,
Hmm.
and
Hmm. Yep.
yeah.
Yes.
So, if you guys had to give the show a rating, whether it's 1 through 5 or 1 through 10, what would you give it?
I like Cash go first.
Uh, you know, there's certain things bother me. I'm going to give this right now a 6. I'm going to go a little bit higher than I did before. I'm going to give this a 6.5 out of 10 for the first
Okay.
episode. Yeah.
Okay. And Baron?
Yeah, thinking about it, and as we're talking about that, because of the clunkiness of the beginning of the show, and the clunkiness of doing some of the character like Ellie with the cussing and all that, I'm going to go with Cash on that 6.5. It has promise. This has
Hmm.
promise. This is enough to
Hmm.
grab you for another episode, and you
Yep.
hope it's going to get better. But we'll see.
Right, but I can also see this being a 7.5 out of 10. Like there's some high production value. There's some
Hmm.
interesting stuff, and uh, Pedro Pascal is definitely going to lead this series. I can
Oh yeah,
see that going forward, and
you
and
have great people there. Yeah, exactly.
mhm,
But again, there's the clunkiness that they
mhm,
gave us with that first episode. So I'm
mhm,
hoping the ratings will go up higher than that.
mhm,
Mhm. And as far as my score for this first episode, I said it on Twitter on Sunday after watching the episode with you, Cash. And I still feel the same way after watching it today again with Baron before the show.
Hmm.
It's a
uh-huh,
6.5 out of 10, or my 1 through 5 scale, it's a 3 out of 5.
mhm,
Hmm.
It's watchable. It is entertaining, but there are things I hope as the next 8 episodes. I believe there's 9 episodes in this season.
yep,
So in the next eight episodes, I want to see this show find its legs because
Hmm.
as we've talked before, you know, unlike back in the day where this show might have been given a 24, 26 episode run,
Hmm.
nowadays with shows only having 9 episodes, you got to, be able to prove yourself to the audience a lot quicker
Hmm.
than you could back in the day with a 24, 26 episode season. Now, with that said, I do want to say that per usual, I'm still giving this episode, no, this show and these episodes a 3 episode watch. If by the third episode I'm not impressed, I'm not going to continue watching the series and talking about it here on Pop Talk.
Hmm. Well, yeah, and I mean, let's have an adaptation that actually goes right, even with the little nitpickings that we had in certain areas, and kind of
mhm,
will this actress really have the chops to be able to do this part and make you really actually freaking care for her? Right now, I don't give a rip about her. To be
No.
honest with you. Um, so it's like, okay, well, if she's got the cure, I mean, just you can offer, put her in a freezer, and they can do whatever offer her that way. Is that the case? But that's the way it goes. It's like I'm not invested in what I've seen with that character so far. Now Pedro Pascal's obviously is, and he's good at playing those tortured characters. I mean, look at him in Mandalorian, for crying out loud. I mean, he's kind of doing the same thing. He knows how to play a role like that. He plays it right.
Hmm.
Um, so, and I be honest with you, I know people do have been complaining, but I am a fan of these shorter seasons. Like I was believing this all the way back even to the '80s, saying that English TV usually has seasons of 6 to 8 episodes for a show. And I started thinking, well, some shows don't need to have 24, 25, 26 episodes. After if you have one of those, you kind of run the show into a ground. You don't have any originality after a while. Sometimes when you have the shorter run, shorter seasons like that, you can really get to the crux of stuff. Really get your writing and toned up, hopefully. And then when you do have that next season, it's still fresh and it's not worn out. If a second season is warranted, that is. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, there's a lot of shows that only lasted 6 episodes because that's all it needed. I Claudius lasting 13 episodes. I'm a fan of that. We don't need to have these shows that run 26 episodes, 5 years, 6 years, because as we saw with Star Trek Next Generation, they start losing their legs after a while.
Mm-hmm. Especially, getting back to Next Generation in the 6th and 7th season.
Hmm. Right. Exactly. So, I have no problems with things like Mandalorian or Kenobi. Well, I'm just saying Kenobi are these being certain lengths, but you better work gold with it. You better work gold with it. This is your
Mm-hmm.
time to shine, and just because you have an hour and a half, or because you don't have, like I said, just because you don't have a time constraint like you have on regular TV, does not give you an excuse to stretch an episode out longer than it needs to be.
Yep, exactly. And Cash, do you want to read that article that you found?
He's got an
Not
article.
really. Not really, man.
Okay, okay. I
It's
just thought
more
I'd
of
ask.
something to laugh at. It's just this is the problem with modern television is there has to be some kind of politics. I just
Mhm.
wish sometimes people would just be quiet. I don't care. And they just it's like they need that attention. And so, you know, whatever reason the character who plays Ellie, the actress or whatever, I guess is saying she's gender fluid. It's whatever. Look, people can feel any way they want about something, but sometimes I feel like can't some people just shut up? People are never as important as they think they are. This is
Mhm.
just the reality. None of us are.
Right.
None, and unfortunately, we give too much attention to a lot of people that don't deserve it. Then there's people who deserve the attention. They don't get it.
Well, that's true.
Uh,
Yeah, well, exactly. It's like, well, we don't need to know. And are you really? Because you just announced this at the show where your character is a lesbian.
right.
Are you just doing that for promotion? Because stars never lie about stuff
Yeah,
at all.
and that's the other thing about the whole situation. We've already talked about this on stream. Is when a character is a lesbian, it doesn't mean she needs to be a victim. She should be
Right.
strong. She should be interesting. The character in um and they've done some things right. I've even seen Disney do things right where they're like, oh, the character Jackie, she was actually a lesbian, she likes girls. Well, that's just how she does. And that was considered a kid's show, but it's also for adults. And I was like, well, they did that well. But I don't mind a trans or gay or whatever character. What drives me crazy is how bad the character development is and
Right.
why the character has to be a victim all the time. Why can't they just grow? Why can't they
Hmm.
just grow?
And you're looking at the death of heavy metal right there, because heavy
Yeah,
metal is
say
a
something about that.
men's
Right.
science fiction fantasy gonzo magazine. It used to be
Never
owned
read
by
it.
National
Yeah.
Lampoon.
Yep. Oh, that's yeah.
Yeah.
But they wanna change everything. The thing is, if I'm running a business, if I'm running a site, I want people to speak their mind. I want to make sure that if you're making money, do what's right. If the customers like this, keep it. If people are upset about it, but your fan base likes it, keep it.
Hmm.
It's not the whole thing about us, so many people being offended by stuff is just crazy. I mean, I can we can talk about this later on, but even like the
Hmm.
Joker thing, the guy got all this backlash, and then he starts talking about conservative this and that. And I'm just saying this is just another example of like the only reason that you said that it was a joke that Joker is pregnant is because um is because you got the backlash. If you didn't get the backlash, would you have said it's a joke? That's the question. That's
Well,
always the question. Yeah.
well, yeah, horrible idea with crappy art.
Right. And
Crappy
so
art.
the reason I bring that up is because unfortunately Druckmann is one of these other people who's one of these nutcases. I'm sorry, not sorry, he is.
Yeah.
And he
Eh.
changed things that he didn't need to change. And why was the Last of Us 2 game leaked before it came out? Because I don't think people who worked on it were very happy with the direction it went with certain things.
And Cash, we have a message from somebody about your previous statement about some people aren't as important as they think they are.
Silence, you fool! I'm very important! Silence, you fool!
Well, yeah, I mean that's just it. I mean,
The thing is, there is politics in The Last of Us, which makes sense because of what's going on, but
right.
they better stay away from other stuff that they don't need to cover, but hopefully they will. You know, we're in 2023. I don't want them to start going. I don't think they will. It doesn't seem like they're going to really go in that direction with this show. I would hope not. That'd be stupid, but you just never know.
I mean, the
Just
big
never
thing
know.
is you know when we talk about politics, we don't want to turn things political.
No.
Not in the sense of you know a political party or anything like that, but that's the first thing they seem to really want to run to.
Yep.
And
Yep.
and the thing is it's not a political
Yep.
in the sense of a party because, like I've said before, you have people who are Democrats and liberals who are pissed off at things that are happening, like with the Joker getting pregnant and stuff like that.
Right.
They don't
Right.
want to see this being twisted and warped, and they're even the ones sitting back saying, "Come up with something original."
Right. Exactly.
And now they're getting lumped in with with the other side. You know, it's very insulting.
Yep,
Incredibly insulting.
I'll show you that article about, and the guy was making comparisons about how like Robin was married a gorilla, and he said it was just a joke. But once again, when these situations come out and there's backlash, then is he just saying it's a joke just to say it's a joke because he didn't expect the backlash?
Well,
It's,
I mean,
it's silly. Yeah.
right. Well, it's like Chuck Winding, who wrote those god awful post Star Wars novel, Aftermath and stuff like that, trying to tell us this is what really happened after Star Wars, not the legend stuff. And then went on to doing the Darth Vader comics until he got fired. Why? Because he was just so insulting that everybody was pissed at him.
Yep.
He was pissing everybody. Of course, they're trying to sit back and say it was only one side. But no,
Right.
he pissed everybody off.
Yeah.
Chuck Winding. I know it's not his name, but I don't
Yeah.
care. He's a Winding. He's such a much moron.
Right. Well, I mean, it's the same situation. Like Hollywood will talk about all this representation, all these genders and stuff, and I can say they actually started making some sense with Dreamer, who's a transgender person, but Dreamer actually stopped being a victim after a while and actually started helping Supergirl, had a relationship with Brainiac, but the character became a lot more interesting. So if you're going to push something, then the character, there needs to be trauma, but the character needs to grow too. Trauma is usually very important to the characters. That's why it drives me crazy, especially reading the lore of stuff like Hawkeye and finding out about Kate Bishop and the trauma that she actually went through in the lore that Disney had no desire to show. And it would have just been way better.
Well, look at Sarah Connor.
Yes. Yes.
Especially in the first Terminator film. I mean, look at the change from the beginning of the film to the end of the film.
Yep.
And of course, when you saw her again in Terminator 2. But I mean, specifically that first film. I mean, she started out as what the hell's going on to, okay, I'm going to F you up.
Yep. Yep.
She wasn't a victim. I mean, she might have started out that way, but she grew out of that fast. It's like, I don't have time to be a victim. I got to stay alive.
It's just, to me, it's just very lazy to change a character that we've known for so many years. It doesn't matter if it's a woman, a man,
Hmm.
whatever.
Right.
It's just so lazy to, and instead not make another character.
Hmm.
And when they do make another character, like there is a, they act like now, since we got on this topic, they act
Hmm.
like now that there's, a black Green Lantern lady, and they act like, oh, she's the first black person. No, John
No.
Stewart is. John
Yes.
Stewart is pretty badass too.
Yes, he
I
is.
would definitely follow him to the ends of the earth. The dude is cool. And
Yeah.
they act like this is the first this, and that's another problem. And so it just keeps going in a circle. And so it's
Yeah.
easy to make fun of this stuff, and then people attack you for it. But it's very easy to make fun of this. And it's like, why
Yeah.
don't you guys learn from what you did with Dreamer? She's
Hmm.
trans. She's, or I guess, yeah, she refers to herself as a she, I guess. But, and she became more interesting because she was actually with Brainiac. And so why don't we build those kind of characters? That's
Yeah.
character development. You guys start getting it right, but then you start getting it completely wrong. And then they're like, oh, we don't want to stereotype the character. Then they end up stereotyping the character
Right. Well, that's just it. They go
another way.
straight into it.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
exactly.
mean, they're the biggest stereotypers of
Yes.
all the way across the board. I mean, granted, we all have stereotypes. We all do. I mean,
Of course.
but that doesn't define who we are. It's just a
No.
quirk that we have.
Right.
I mean, some people obviously more than others. But I mean, we all have some sort of stereotypical trait to us that's out there, but it's not the end all be all. It shouldn't be the thing that's
No.
100% focused. It's good for a quirk and a laugh.
No.
Now, with that said, as that goes, I don't know where I was going.
No. Well, see, and this is the other thing, Baron. I've seen an all black version of Cowboy Bebop, but
Oh, yeah.
guess what? It was still Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah,
It still felt like the anime, and so
right.
it's like, because these people care enough. That's the other thing. It's like, you guys go away from what the show was originally is, and it's really too bad.
Well, these people
Yeah.
don't know anything outside of the 10 to 20 year
Mhm.
bubble.
Right.
You know, if it's 10 years ago or even 20 years ago before that, it never happened.
Yep.
That's why you have that dingbat scene that she was one of the first female action star.
Yes.
Which, of course, Sigourney Weaver was more than happy to thank her for making sure
Right.
that she had her chance with Aliens.
Right.
You
Thanks,
have,
Jennifer Lawrence.
yep. I
Yeah,
was trying
she's
to.
just. I think Sigourney Weaver is just probably a pretty nice person. Just.
Yeah,
just
she's.
I
Yeah.
don't. I don't know if she agreed with what Jennifer Lawrence said about that, but I
Well,
don't think she probably did. She probably thought, "What?"
No, I think she
it
did
was
go out there and take a slam at her. I think that was for real. But again, you have the Mikey Spock going out there saying, first of all, she's the first black captain. Avery
No.
Brooks.
No.
And then she
Yeah.
goes, I'm the first female black
Right.
captain.
Right.
Nope.
No.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, it's just
Yep.
you are so. I don't even want to say ignorant
Yep.
because this
Clueless.
is beyond ignorance. Idiotic.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
It's moronic.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because the big thing is they don't want to learn. So it's beyond
No.
ignorance.
Yep.
And they don't like it when they're schooled.
No.
Well, then you're mansplaining. No.
Mm.
Maybe nerdsplaining, but not mansplaining.
Right.
Well, you see here in episode 308 of the
Mhm.
original Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should also tell the guy who wrote this whole thing about Joker being pregnant. I'm like, hey, I have a joke for you too, dude. It's called "I'm Not Starfire."
Oh
So
God.
quite a big joke.
Yeah, I think it was renamed "I Am a Dumpster Fire." My God, oh God, what the hell? I mean, It's just like we're sitting back saying. It's like the sculpture they did of Martin Luther King Jr. and his wife, and you take a look at that thing, and then you take the look at the other memorial that they put up for him. That's in the granite in there, and how beautiful that is. You take a
Yeah.
look at art that's been done by throughout the ages, and now we have simpleton art.
Yep. And as even though he had a really great message about coming together with people, he's flawed like anybody else.
Yeah, well, we are flawed,
But
but
the
that's not the
funny
point.
thing,
That's
right?
not the point I'm making on this.
Okay.
I'm talking about art. I'm talking about the
Yeah.
stat. I mean,
Okay.
even Lucille Ball, the first one they put out there for Nick at Night, that statue, and my God, that was horrifying. They had to redo it.
Right.
But the thing is, that when it comes around to art,
No.
people are not told to perfect the art.
No.
Let's just paint. Let's just tape a banana to the wall and have it go for hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars.
Right. Well, this is another thing, the artists of the gaming, the entertainment, they get mad, and it's like, look,
Mhm.
guys, how can you tell me why are you surprised you're getting backlash online or something for this is or social media platforms? This looks lazy, man.
Right.
Do you know what you guys did before? This is what you're coming up with.
Yeah, it's a devolution. Art, the artwork in comic
Like
books have
you're
become a
devolving there,
devolution.
guys.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's returning back to the stick figure.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, bad animation sometimes works. South Park, it works for what it is. I mean, it's almost part of the
that's a
joke.
certain animation, right? Exactly.
Right.
But I got to tell you, Baron, like I don't ever want to play Monkey Island. I do not like that animation. I do not want to stare at that animation, that blocky kind of stuff. And I don't care how many times Ron Gilbert says that, that they worked hard, they did that. So that's great. Whoopie do. I don't like it. I'm
Mhm.
not interested in Monkey Island block world. I just not. If I want to play something with blocks, I'll play Minecraft.
Oh yeah, exactly, and that's fun.
Yeah,
Really.
it'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Um,
Mhm.
and that's just it. We want better. I mean, that's why that Arcane for me, and I gave it a 10,
Yes.
a
Yes.
100% 10 on that was because just
Really.
the animation blew
Mhm.
you away. It's like,
Mhm.
my word, we're starving for something like that.
Yes. Yep.
Um,
Yeah, and some people I know just won't give that a chance because it's tied to League of Legends. Well, they're lost, I guess.
Well, again, I don't know anything about League of Legends, just like I don't
Right.
know anything about this game.
Mhm. Right.
As long as the story's good, and I hope it's staying true to what the original source is. I know sometimes that's not the case. I hope to enjoy, and I
Yeah.
hope it does stay that way to what it's supposed to be, because obviously it's a good story.
Right.
Why f something up? It's just
Mhm.
like I said before with the translation. You just gotta move some stuff around sometimes, and you still get the same impact.
Yep. It's true.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and as far as future editions of Pop Talk, if we continue this series after 3 episodes, we may not devote all this time to that particular episode. We might devote a little bit of time, but
Mm-hmm.
because this is the first episode,
Right.
I want to make sure that we all get our thoughts down on what we think of the first episode. Going into the
Right.
second episode, we
Mhm.
will definitely give our thoughts. But
Mhm.
for the second one, I'm already thinking, instead of talking too much about what went on in the episode
Mhm.
before we actually give our opinions on the episode, we can talk about the episode, as we go along. Baron, you could say, yeah, episode 2, they had this, and this happen,
Mhm.
and I
Right.
question why they set it up this way instead of setting it up that way. And
Right. No, do a quick up and down review of it.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Oh, by the way, Phil,
No coupons for you, Phil.
I saw what you wrote. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, yeah, obviously a little bit more detailed because this is the first episode for us, and it's kind of what our reaction is. But from now on, knowing what we're taking a look, the quick ups, the quick downs, and hopefully, I really hope that this series does well. We need good shows again. We need to have good adaptations. We need to start feeling safe and secure, knowing that these things are going into safe hands, that carrying hands. So here's to it. I mean, not everything is gonna, they're not gonna do everything right. Obviously, there's gonna be things that people disagree with because, again, it's a translation. Just like Lord of the Rings with Peter Jackson, there was a lot of issues and umbrages I took with that, but I could see why. But it doesn't mean you necessarily like it, but you can see why. So that's the foibles of an adaptation. And
Yeah.
I mean, Lord of the Rings trilogy was put in good hands.
Was yeah. Even The Hobbit I still enjoyed, and then the Desolation of Smaug, right? Yeah. That was my favorite one out of the three, but that last movie just wasn't very good. But it's still better entertainment than we've seen a lot, and that's why I'm also worried about stuff like Into the Spider-Verse. I love the first movie so much, and it definitely deserved to win best animated movie. But I'm worried after some things have come out and politics that they're going to change things about Miles. And I'm not, that's going to aggravate the crap out of me if they do.
Yeah, because again, we use these movies, TV shows, and books as escapism.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And
Go sit in the corner, Crit. I see what you're saying. Orca boy over there. See those evil whales, dude? Some of them have guns.
You can't trust.
Coming to your house, little knock knock.
You can't trust Orca. That's what I say.
Knock knock at Orca boy's door.
Knock knock knocking at Orca's door.
Didn't you have a high kill rate when you were in that one? I'm sorry, takeout rate in the game Among Us? Who was the one that went out there and did the?
Yeah,
basically,
I killed a bunch of people in the game. In the game, YouTube.
Among Us, yeah. We're sus.
It's a video game, YouTube.
Yes. A lot of people. I won, and Paul gave himself up, and I'm still annoyed by that. Cool.
Yeah.
Sure you did, Crit. Sure you did.
Sure.
Whatever.
Orca boy.
Heard that before.
Liar.
That's right.
So, don't trust the word that Everett Ass Production says.
real quick before we wrap it up, because we still got a little bit of time. I wanted to send out an invitation to Crit because since he watched it, I want his thoughts on the series.
Oh God, I'm sobering up. Let me get in there and drink first. Can I get in there and drink first?
Let me get some alcohol. I got take the right pills and.
The stuff from Atlanta, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So, Crit, if you check your Discord DM, I sent the link to you, and I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Well, that's one of us. Oh, he has not watched it.
Oh, really? I thought you.
I thought you said you did.
Yeah. Wait a second here, Crit.
Yeah.
Hold on a minute, man.
He's attacking us.
I thought he said he did.
Maybe next episode review. Oh, well, fine. But you just said good show earlier.
Maybe he's talking about us.
Are you having Phil disease? Is that what's going on? What's
I think so. I think Philsheimer's.
Did you just read it was a good show? Is this like when you watch clips of Velma and you said you watched the show, Chris?
Crit. Taking one for the team.
I thought you were going to take one for the team, Crit.
Right here.
Yeah, I'm glad you found it. I was looking forward to. Well, that's not what you put there.
You did not
good
put
show.
That.
Yeah.
Dang it, Crit.
You said this good show.
Yeah.
I did actually watch Velma. I'm just confusing you all.
Yeah, he really liked it.
You know what? Crit? Crit, I'm going to seem like the jerk, but from here on out, your Pop Talk privileges are revoked until further notice.
Ooh.
Uh-oh.
Wow. And here I was expecting it from the chin, but he's getting it from Doc Pop.
Doc Pop. Yes. That's great. Privileges revoked.
Yes.
You have done
Until
bad, young
further-
man.
Yes,
Until
you have.
further notice.
Yeah, we got enough orcas there. Just look at Cash. But you're absolutely right though. I'm taking a look at your name. Ellie looks weird, and she does look absolutely weird. She,
Right?
you know what?
Yes.
She kind of looks like that cop that got in trouble in Tennessee.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
I saw that. I'm going, really?
Yes,
Yeah.
I can honestly say I've seen Netflix Bebop. Crit and I watched an episode or two.
Mm. Yeah.
Starts off okay, and then it goes when Faye Valentine comes into the show.
And I found out which Megan Mike actually saw. It wasn't the one you thought.
Yeah,
Ha 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 ha.
I don't know. I haven't. I wasn't all with that. Megan looked interesting, but I wasn't that interested in seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like it's pretty good.
I
Sounds
liked
like
it.
from what Mike said. So
So, did they have the proper amount of cops in it?
I'm not answering that.
It's like I can't take these people anywhere.
No, Mike can't. He can't take us anywhere. You know, you know what he's going to say from now on before he hits the start button. He says, "Don't fuck this up."
Heck, I might just mute Discord.
Oh my gosh!
I can't take you guys anywhere.
No. Yeah, I know. I never said you could. Never said you could.
Oh, you guys behave just once. Come on. Come on.
I tried
honestly.
it once. It wasn't entertaining.
But no, I want this show to be better than a lot of entertainment that we've
Oh, yeah.
seen recently. I really do. I hope it turns out to be a great show. I
Right. I mean, I'm hoping. Yeah, I'm hoping this is the path, the 5-year path I was talking about.
Yep.
My big thing is myself personally, am tired of the zombie survivor type stuff. Myself, I'm tired of it. But this looks interesting. I was never really interested in Walking Dead, but this looks interesting. Yeah. And interesting premise, but it's like, can we get away from the zombies? It's like, can we find something new?
Yeah, that's why I was a little worried about the show coming into this, but so far, pretty good. So
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad.
if it becomes a great show, great. I'll be happy to give it a lot of props, just like I did with Arcane. It took me 3 episodes, and then when Jinx came on the screen, I was like, oh shit. This
Cash was in love.
I don't know about love. I don't think you really want to love someone like Jinx. She's quite psychotic.
Well, you know what they say about crazy. Yeah, you know what they say about crazy.
No.
What's? Oh,
yeah, that's true.
That's fair, Crit.
Yeah, and I think that's what we set back. I think that's what Cash was even sitting back saying. The second one was but if
I
we
watched
keep it to
too
the
much
first,
of that game, and then it's like when I finally buy The Last of Us 2, and I will be buying it at some point. I'll buy it for like $10. That's all I feel it's worth after everything I've seen.
See,
he can't.
He can't resist. He can't hold back. He's got to still do it anyways. He knows what disaster he's walking into, and you know what? We're gonna hear him complain about it too.
Yes.
Really?
And Crit, about that band, let me just tell you this.
Respect my authority! Respect my authority!
That's so funny.
Yeah.
That was a dangerous sight that Crit showed us. He's gonna regret it eventually, I think.
You might. You just might.
Mhm.
Yep. But yeah, I think that's a good point to wrap up the show. We've given our thoughts. We talked about what went on in the episode. We've shown a little bit what happened in the episode, and
Yeah.
I think we're all in agreement. The show, you know, it's watchable. It's a 6.5, but there are some issues.
Right.
Yep.
It has potential. It has potential. So,
Mhm. Yes.
and I mean, if it can grab you the first episode, even if the episode itself wasn't bad, but it still grabs you in the first episode, it still makes you want to go for to see do they improve with the second one. So I mean, obviously it wasn't a train wreck like that, but it's like okay, I can understand where they have those issues, but you know what, it's still enough to grab you for episode
Yeah.
2.
What does that have to do? Is he trying to say you're the seal then? Is that what he's trying
I
to
guess so.
I don't know. I don't. Who's a seal?
Crit,
I'm not-
one more time, just to give you another reminder.
Respect my authority.
Yeah, Mike is a Russian whaling ship. You better be careful.
I will hunt you down,
Ow.
Lord Crit.
say?
I must break you.
For some reason he became Arnold.
All right. I hate my life. I hate
There you
you.
go. You're Russian. now. You
I
can
do not like anything. I do not like this channel. I do not like myself.
Who was that? Critter Cat.
I am worse than Phil McCracken. I hate you all.
Yeah.
I hate you.
I
I
think
hate
Phil was actually born in Russia. He just pretends to be an American.
Yeah, you know that the Russians had these little places that were done up to look like the United States, and they trained people in Russia how to act. That's where Phil came from.
Yep.
He's not just a troll. He's a mole. He's a mole troll or a troll mole.
He's a mole troll.
Yeah.
I love it. It's great.
But yeah, thank you, Baron and Cash, for being here for tonight's episode of Pacific 414 Pop Talk. Talking The Last of Us. I also want to say thank you to Gap After Dark for being here. Yes, Gap, the spoilers are over. We're wrapping up the show.
We
Yeah,
did
Gap, they
find
all
out
died.
though, Gap. We did find out though that Phil might be a mole, so I'm not the communist.
A mole troll.
Mole troll, yes.
And they all die. They all did.
And he actually did own GoBots. He's just lying.
He
to us.
did. Actually, that's what he had.
He said he put him in his easy bake oven because he wanted to see what would happen to him, but it didn't happen. Now, if you believe that, you never know.
And let's see. Gap is laughing.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's over,
Gap
man.
says, okay, so I'm going to watch the show. I got to catch up.
Yeah.
So again, I want to thank Gap. I want to thank Old Man. I want to thank Crit. But remember, Crit, respect my authority.
More importantly, Crit. More importantly,
This is what happens when you fuck a stranger in the ass. This is
Hey Phil, we got some coupons for you, but Peter Griffin does not.
no, Peter
no
Griffin.
coupons for you, Phil.
And thank you, Leia Rose, for being here. And let's see. We also had Kelly Chow. I'm looking for Kelly Chow. There he is. There's Kelly Chow.
Kitty.
Roll Tide, Kelly Chow. Roll Tide. And we also had, as long as I'm not missing anybody,
Missing me.
the long suffering Mrs. Tagge.
Hi, love. She probably fell asleep.
Oh, I could see how I could be boring.
Oh no, she's kind of narcoleptic. Well, she's got all those drugs going into her. I know it was like it's easy to all of a sudden go.
Yep.
I used to fall asleep all the time at home, and then they take pictures of me. It's like, what are you doing?
We're taking pictures of you sleeping, Dad.
Yeah, great, yeah. Then they blackmail me.
Mm-hmm. That's what those were. That's what those pictures were.
Yes, I know.
And I also want to thank Brandon Looney Tunes Fan 2000, who now has 1,000 subscribers, and we got.
Oh, congrats!
That's good, man.
Was that Phil talking on the audio clip? No.
No,
But it sounds close enough to him.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Yeah.
Gap also says, Phil, there's a sale on modern easy bake oven that you can play with, and it comes with an apron. And he says, hey, Gap, or should I say, hi, 7-Up. Never had it, never will. Whatever,
Yeah.
Phil. Whatever.
Yeah, Phil never had it. He never will.
Gap says, but I'm sure you've had 7 cupcakes out of your little baby oven. The trash talk. Phil, do I need your bottle? Do you need a bottle? It's all ready for your feeding.
Yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Wait. Who said anything about us liking you, Phil?
I never said that.
And let's see, Phil, the coupon police are going to raid your house for expired
dude,
coupons. And the last one here is people like you about as much as a mud puddle.
Ooh, wow.
Wow, fighting words.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
So
People are being mean. I'm a snowflake. My mangina is
well, if you would stop drinking that soy.
soy here. And you know what? And I think I finally got a good one here for you. I think I finally got a good one.
This is what happens when you fuck a stranger in the ass. This is what.
That sounds better. That sounds better now. Doesn't go down at the end.
It's still funny. I don't know if it'll ever get old.
I don't think so.
AI voices.
Oh my word! It's.
It's great.
Is there anything you guys would like to promote? As you can see, I put Crit's channel in there because tomorrow night he will be discussing Total Recall.
Oh, that's right. We're supposed to go over there tomorrow. Oh, great!
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. I guess.
I mean, I'm looking forward to it.
Oh yeah.
I'm kidding, Crit. I'm kidding.
Yes.
Orca boy.
I mean, it will bring back memories of my colonoscopy.
What the?
Not bad, huh?
Yeah.
Oh no!
Oh
Yeah.
my! Oh my!
So, Baron, anything coming up on the real fandomology?
No, nothing yet. Still working on it. So I know. Right. I'm kind of like Cash Money there with the fandom hooligans.
The hooligans. You know.
Oh, you should hear that with Grandpa Simpson.
Oh no! I'm sure.
Oh,
no. No. Yeah.
What? You don't have any streams coming up? What, are we gonna have to wait another 6 months?
No. I just was waiting until Baron was done with what he had to say. That's all.
I'm done with what I have to say.
Okay.
Except Abraham Simpson is absolutely funny.
Be quiet, Doc Pop. I'm gonna put you in a.
Wow. Remember, he's the boss.
Oh.
Nobody tells Doc Pop to be quiet. Doc Pop is the one that tells you to be quiet, simpleton.
Oh.
This stream is going off the rails. But no, yes, this week, because everything is fixed, we're going to get back to playing some Saints Row 2 and causing a lot of mayhem.
Mm.
Looks like
Mayhem.
Friday or Saturday. Everything
All
is
right.
fixed finally, so I had to check the compatibility. I had to do reading. I had to do my research, do my homework, and there's just this is an older game, so you run into problems. But hopefully this time it doesn't crash. But I'm gonna take Phil's advice. I know this is scary, but
Oh, come on.
I know. I'm gonna take his advice, and if for whatever reason the stream crashes this week, I'm gonna start it up again.
All right.
Yep.
And
Really?
as far as what's coming up on this channel, there will probably be a game stream. Probably, I'm gonna say Saturday at this point, and then of course Sunday at 1, the Sunday edition of Pop Talk.
This is
1
what
o'clock
happens
seems to
when you
be-
fuck a.
Nope, wrong one.
wait. So this is what happens when we do the wild thing, huh, Baron?
No, actually, it was something else I was going to have, but I had.
From Kraken, worst troll ever. From Kraken, worst troll ever. From
Yeah, no, don't worry,
Oh,
Gap.
gosh.
That stream had to be destroyed because it was like felt like Riker, where anybody hear me? Anybody there? Like that. What was that from season 1?
I could hear you just fine.
I know.
Huh?
Yeah. Huh? What? How? It was like that, Family
McCracken,
Guy thing.
you know,
How's the Family Man show? Why? The Family Man show. Just to keep it simple.
McCracken just likes to cause trouble. Remember, last night he kept complaining that he didn't get the invite link for
But-
Tuesday night Trek when Paul already sent it to him.
Phil, come on, dude. Come on. But yeah, yes. That stream had some problems, so it got fixed, Gap. Don't worry. Don't be afraid.
Well, it was a Cash Money production.
It was
Not everything is an Everett production.
No, and not everything's a chaotic
no.
Pacific 414 production either.
No.
Yeah, I unfortunately ran into problems, but I did find out my mic was a bit low, so I did turn it up. So, but
I could hear you
other
just
people
fine.
said they could hear me fine. Then some people said they couldn't, like Paul and Phil, and I was like, all right. And Crit said I was a little low, so I turned myself up. So.
Phil forgot to turn up his headphones.
What? Huh?
It's possible.
I don't wear headphones when I watch YouTube. Well, maybe that's your problem.
Guys, what did you say? Easy bake
Huh?
oven. Yeah, man. What? GoBots? I hate
What?
those GoBots, man.
What?
Them go.
I love them GoBots, but as
can't
far
hear
as
Huh?
as far as this series is concerned, episode 1, 6.5 out of 10, or
Across the board.
3 out of 5. Yep, across the board. So thank you all. Have yourselves a great night, and we will see you all later.
Bye.
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 Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Y'all come back now, you hear?
Oh, yeah.
What did you do to that stranger?
Oh my God, Phil! What did you do? What did you do to my logo? You blew it up again! Come on, man!
Phil had Mexican again.
I told him not to go to Taco Bell.
Taco John's. That's where you need to go.